Lucas had always believed in the power of hard work. Growing up in a humble household, he'd learned from an early age that dedication was his path to a better life. His father, a man of modest means, instilled values of persistence and respect. Lucas carried these lessons through school, where he excelled quietly, working part-time jobs to help his family while maintaining his grades. When he graduated from college, his family's pride was palpable. With his first job offer at a prestigious corporation, it seemed his future was finally aligning with his dreams. On the first day at his new job, Lucas was filled with hope and determination. His excitement, however, quickly dimmed as he was assigned to a team led by Karen, a senior employee who had built a reputation for ambition and assertiveness. She was respected by many, but her colleagues often whispered about her competitive nature. Karen saw Lucas's humble attitude as weakness, and from day one, she showed him little respect. She frequently assigned him menial tasks, dismissing his ideas without a second thought. At first, Lucas tried to see the best in her, hoping to learn from her experience. But as the weeks passed, Karen's condescension grew sharper. During team meetings, she'd cut him off mid-sentence, rolling her eyes at his suggestions. She was quick to boast of her own achievements and always made sure to remind everyone of her seniority. Despite her constant belittling, Lucas kept his head down and persevered. He knew his worth, even if Karen chose not to see it. His resilience didn't go unnoticed by some of his other colleagues. Quietly, they admired Lucas's ability to endure Karen's relentless criticism without ever speaking back. But for Lucas, each dismissal and insult was a wound, chipping away at his confidence. He often wondered if his dreams of success were nothing more than illusions. But every night, he reminded himself of why he'd started, for his family and for a future he could be proud of. He resolved to stay patient, convinced that one day his hard work would pay off. Then, the company announced a major international conference, where top executives and clients would gather. The conference was expected to be a career-defining event for anyone involved. To Lucas's surprise, he was assigned a supporting role in Karen's presentation. Though it was a small role, he hoped it could be an opportunity to prove himself. But Karen's reaction to his assignment quickly shattered his optimism. Karen made no attempt to hide her disdain when Lucas was added to the project. She scoffed openly, telling him he was barely useful and that he should just stay out of her way. In her eyes, Lucas's lack of experience was nothing short of incompetence. It didn't matter that he worked late every night, meticulously preparing for the conference. She was determined to keep him in the shadows. Her words stung, but Lucas reminded himself that the work he did was not for her approval. Despite his attempts to remain composed, the humiliation was beginning to take a toll. As the conference approached, Karen's attitude only worsened. She belittled him in front of the team, making him the target of jokes and laughter. The situation seemed impossible, but Lucas's resilience kept him moving forward, holding on to the hope that one day he would prove her wrong. The weekend before the conference, Lucas's sister called him, excited to celebrate their parents' anniversary together. Lucas had been looking forward to the celebration as well, but he couldn't afford to miss the final preparation days for the conference. He reluctantly told his family he wouldn't be able to join them. The disappointment in his mother's voice was unmistakable, but Lucas promised himself he'd make it up to them. Staying late at the office, he went over every detail of his assignment, determined to contribute meaningfully despite Karen's dismissive attitude. He felt the weight of the sacrifices he had made, missing family moments, personal time, and, above all, enduring Karen's constant humiliation. It was all for a future he still believed in, though at times that belief seemed like a distant memory. The conference day arrived, and the office was abuzz with excitement and nerves. Karen had spent hours perfecting her presentation, while Lucas had worked tirelessly in the background, preparing visuals, documents, and reports. While others were nervous, Lucas felt a strange calm. He knew he'd done everything possible to ensure a smooth event. Karen, however, maintained her superior attitude, dismissing Lucas with instructions that he stay out of sight. As she reviewed her presentation one last time, she made it clear that she didn't trust him to handle anything important. Lucas forced a smile, his disappointment hidden. He was determined not to let her negativity deter him from doing his best. During a break, Lucas overheard Karen talking with a senior executive, boasting about the success of the project and her leadership. She barely acknowledged his contributions, brushing them off as support work. Lucas clenched his fists but kept quiet. He had accepted that his role wouldn't bring immediate recognition, but he knew it was only a matter of time before his value would be seen. When Karen spotted him listening, she smirked and said, "Stick around, Lucas. Maybe you'll learn something." Her condescension was blatant, and for a moment, Lucas felt a spark of anger. He knew he couldn't respond, so he bit his tongue, reminding himself that this was his moment to grow. As he walked away, memories of his early life resurfaced. He recalled the sacrifices his parents had made, their hard work, and the lessons they taught him about humility and resilience. He remembered his mother's tired hands after long hours at the diner and his father's quiet pride in his children's accomplishments. Lucas's heart filled with a sense of duty to honor their sacrifices by giving his best in everything he did. In those moments of reflection, Lucas found strength in his roots. He wasn't just working for a paycheck or recognition, he was working for a legacy of hard work and integrity. This reflection renewed his determination to succeed, despite the humiliations he endured daily. Halfway through the conference, a series of unexpected technical problems disrupted Karen's presentation. The slides malfunctioned, and the microphone cut out intermittently. Karen was visibly rattled, and her frustration grew with every failed attempt to regain control. She refused to ask for help, determined to handle it herself, even as the situation deteriorated rapidly. Watching from the sidelines, Lucas knew he could fix the issues quickly. He weighed his options, aware that Karen wouldn't welcome his help, but he couldn't stand by as the conference faltered. Gathering his courage, he stepped forward to assist. Ignoring Karen's sharp glare, Lucas moved to the front, adjusted the settings, and reconnected the audio. Within minutes, he had resolved the issues, and the presentation was back on track. Karen's face flushed with a mixture of embarrassment and anger, but Lucas was focused on his task, ensuring the event's success rather than personal pride. As he returned to his spot, a few colleagues looked at him with newfound respect. He had stepped up when it mattered most, despite the risk to his reputation. For the first time, Lucas felt a glimmer of hope that his efforts might finally be recognized. As the presentation continued smoothly, Lucas noticed several employees and even a few senior leaders glancing his way with approval. His quiet intervention hadn't gone unnoticed, and the subtle nods and smiles made him feel a warmth he hadn't experienced in a long time. Karen, however, barely acknowledged his contribution. Her frustration simmered under a forced smile as she wrapped up the presentation, leaving the stage with applause ringing in her ears. Lucas's calm demeanor throughout the chaos had left an impression, one that hinted at a shift in his colleagues' perception. After the conference, Karen approached Lucas in private. Although her pride was evident, she seemed to hesitate. "You were helpful back there," she muttered, barely meeting his eyes. It wasn't exactly an apology, but Lucas recognized it as the closest she'd ever come to admitting her own shortcomings. Rather than dwelling on her tone, Lucas nodded with a small smile. "It was for the good of the team," he replied simply. His words left her momentarily speechless, a subtle reminder of the value of humility. She walked away in silence, her face thoughtful. As the final applause faded, Lucas felt an overwhelming sense of relief. The conference had been a success, and his contributions, though small, had played a vital role. Some executives approached him with words of encouragement, acknowledging his hard work. His heart swelled with pride, a confirmation that his perseverance had not been in vain. For the first time since joining the company, Lucas felt truly valued. He stood a little taller, grateful for the chance to prove himself despite the obstacles he'd faced. Karen's reaction to Lucas's sudden recognition was mixed. She had spent years building her reputation, carefully crafting each presentation and project to reflect her ambition and skills. But Lucas's quiet intervention had stolen some of the spotlight, leaving her feeling unexpectedly vulnerable. Part of her wanted to dismiss it as a one-time fluke, yet a deeper part couldn't ignore the ease with which Lucas had fixed the issues. It was a reminder that she might have underestimated him all along. The following day, Karen maintained her usual demeanor, but something had shifted. She was quieter, her smug comments absent. Lucas noticed her unusual silence and realized his actions had affected her. He knew this moment could be a turning point but chose to focus on his work rather than gloat. Respect and humility had been his guiding principles, and he wasn't about to let a small victory change that. A few days after the conference, Lucas was called into a meeting with the company's senior leadership. As he entered the conference room, he saw several executives, along with Karen, seated around the table. They greeted him warmly, complimenting his work during the conference. "Your quick thinking and composure helped save the presentation," one of the directors said, his voice filled with approval. Lucas thanked them humbly, mentioning the collective efforts of the team rather than focusing on himself. His response impressed the executives, and one of them remarked on his leadership qualities. Karen remained silent, her eyes fixed on the table. For Lucas, this acknowledgement felt like a validation of years of quiet endurance. He left the meeting with renewed confidence, hopeful that this could mark the beginning of a new chapter in his career. Later that afternoon, Karen sought out Lucas. She approached him cautiously, her usual assertive demeanor softened. "Lucas, I wanted to talk," she began, glancing around to ensure they were alone. "I might have been too hard on you, over the years." Her voice wavered as she spoke, hinting at an inner struggle between pride and remorse. Lucas listened patiently, sensing her discomfort. He had endured countless moments of humiliation at her hands, but standing before her now, he felt no resentment. "We all have our ways of working, Karen," he said simply. "But sometimes, a little respect can go a long way." His response was gentle yet firm, and Karen looked taken aback. For the first time, she seemed to see him not as a subordinate but as an equal. Karen left the conversation deep in thought, realizing the impact her behavior had had on Lucas and possibly others. She had spent years pushing others down, believing that it would elevate her, only to find that her actions had created a wall between her and her colleagues. She couldn't shake the memory of Lucas's calm response, his resilience in the face of her harsh treatment. For the first time, Karen questioned her approach and wondered if there was another way to achieve success without sacrificing respect. As the days passed, Karen made a conscious effort to change her behavior. She began listening more and talking less, observing how her colleagues responded to her newfound humility. While it was challenging to shed years of arrogance, she found herself inspired by Lucas's example, a quiet strength that seemed to command genuine respect from those around him. With Karen's attitude softening and the conference success still fresh in everyone's minds, Lucas found himself regarded in a new light by his colleagues. People who once dismissed him as a background player now sought him out for advice and collaboration. His resilience and willingness to help, even when unnoticed, had gained him a level of respect he hadn't anticipated. Despite this newfound attention, Lucas remained grounded. He continued working diligently, just as he had before, treating everyone with the same respect he'd always shown. His humility only added to his reputation, and gradually, he became a trusted figure within the company, someone who could be counted on in both challenging and everyday situations. On the weekend, Lucas visited his family for his parents' anniversary. The familiar sights and sounds of his childhood home filled him with comfort. His parents beamed with pride as he shared stories from work, and his siblings, too, marveled at his growth. "We always knew you'd do great things, Lucas," his mother said, her eyes shining. "You've got a good heart, and that's what truly matters." Surrounded by his family's love, Lucas realized how far he had come. The road had been long, filled with trials and humbling moments, but he felt grateful for every experience. His family's unwavering support reminded him of the importance of staying true to oneself, no matter the obstacles. The next week, Karen approached Lucas with an unexpected request. She asked if he'd be willing to help her on a new project she was struggling with. Surprised but open to the idea, Lucas agreed, recognizing that her request took courage. For Karen, it was a moment of humility. For Lucas, it was an opportunity to extend the same respect he wished she had shown him. As they worked together, Lucas saw a different side of Karen, someone willing to learn, unafraid to admit mistakes. Their collaboration felt genuine, and they found themselves building a rapport based on mutual respect. It was a turning point, one that marked the beginning of a respectful partnership, something Lucas had once thought impossible. Their project turned out to be a success, thanks to their combined efforts. Working alongside Karen allowed Lucas to bring forth his strengths while witnessing Karen's evolving approach to teamwork. The experience transformed their relationship, turning former antagonism into camaraderie. Lucas appreciated Karen's willingness to change, and she, in turn, grew to respect his steadfast nature. Together, they presented their work to the team, and Karen openly credited Lucas for his insights and contributions. For Lucas, this acknowledgement felt more rewarding than any recognition from the higher-ups. It was a small victory, yet it symbolized the positive shift he'd helped inspire in Karen and the team as a whole. Reflecting on his journey, Lucas came to understand the importance of resilience in the face of adversity. Every challenge, every moment of humiliation, had forged his character and prepared him for this moment. He realized that true strength wasn't about seeking recognition but rather enduring hardships with grace and integrity. His story had become one of perseverance, of never allowing others to define his worth. Lucas now carried a quiet confidence, knowing he had overcome countless obstacles without compromising his values. He had not only gained respect but had also inspired a positive change within the company. One morning, Lucas was called into the CEO's office, where he was met with unexpected news. He was being promoted to a senior management position. The executives praised his leadership qualities, noting how he brought out the best in the team during challenging moments. Lucas felt a surge of gratitude as he accepted the promotion, knowing this recognition was the result of years of patience and hard work. As he returned to his desk, his colleagues congratulated him warmly. The promotion was more than just a new title. It symbolized the respect he had earned and the positive impact he had made on those around him. Lucas felt a deep sense of fulfillment, proud of how far he'd come. At an internal celebration organized to honor the achievements of the year, Lucas was called to the stage to receive a special award. As he accepted the plaque, he glanced around the room, seeing faces of colleagues who had once doubted him now cheering in support. It was a surreal moment, one that validated every step of his journey. The applause echoed in his ears, but what mattered most to Lucas was the knowledge that he had achieved this success without sacrificing his values. He had remained true to himself, even when others had tried to undermine him, and that inner strength had ultimately guided him to this moment. As Lucas took on his new role, he was pleased to see Karen as one of his closest allies. Together, they led a team on a crucial project, pooling their strengths and supporting each other in ways they hadn't imagined possible. Their collaboration was met with praise from the directors, who noted how the partnership had improved team morale and productivity. Karen expressed her gratitude to Lucas, acknowledging the ways he had inspired her to become a better leader. Lucas, in turn, appreciated her openness and willingness to grow. What had started as a strained relationship had transformed into a powerful alliance that drove the company toward new heights. Over time, Lucas began to take on a mentoring role within the company, sharing his experiences and lessons with younger employees. His story of resilience and quiet determination resonated with many, inspiring them to persevere through their own challenges. Lucas found joy in helping others, confident that his journey could serve as a guiding light for those who felt overlooked or undervalued. Through his mentorship, Lucas created a legacy of respect, resilience, and humility. He became a role model, showing that true success was not about titles or power but about the impact one had on others. His journey had come full circle, and he felt at peace with his place in the company. During a company event, Lucas reconnected with a former mentor who had supported him early in his career. They reminisced about old times, and Lucas expressed his gratitude for the guidance he'd received. The mentor smiled, proud to see how Lucas had grown, both as a professional and as a person. Their reunion reminded Lucas of the importance of kindness and encouragement, values he had tried to pass on to others. The mentor's pride in Lucas's achievements served as a reaffirmation of his journey, a testament to the power of resilience and perseverance. Soon after, the company proposed a new opportunity, leading an international project that would require Lucas to work in a different country for several months. Although the challenge was daunting, he felt excited by the prospect. This would be a chance to apply everything he'd learned, to lead a team across borders, and to make a lasting impact on the company. As he accepted the opportunity, Lucas prepared himself for this next chapter. He knew the journey would be challenging, but he felt ready, confident that his past experiences had equipped him for anything that lay ahead. As Lucas prepared for his international assignment, he returned home to share the news with his family. His parents and siblings gathered around, their faces filled with pride and excitement for him. They listened intently as he described the new project and the responsibilities he would be taking on. "We always knew you had it in you, Lucas," his father said, his voice thick with emotion. "You've worked so hard, and now the world is seeing it too." Their support filled Lucas with a deep sense of gratitude and confidence. He'd missed countless family moments to get to where he was, but standing there, surrounded by their love, he felt the weight of his journey lifting. His mother hugged him tightly, whispering, "No matter how far you go, you'll always have us here cheering you on." Lucas promised to keep in touch, knowing that no matter where his career took him, his family would always be his anchor. Before his departure, Lucas attended a company event, where he unexpectedly encountered some former colleagues who had once belittled him. These were the same people who had laughed along with Karen, contributing to his years of quiet humiliation. As he spoke with them, he could see surprise in their eyes, their attitudes softened by his success and calm confidence. Instead of holding grudges, Lucas approached them with kindness. He shared his experiences, reflecting on the lessons he'd learned from both the challenges and triumphs. By the end of the conversation, some of his former detractors looked at him with newfound respect. Lucas felt a quiet peace, knowing he'd turned past wounds into strength. For him, forgiveness was a way to let go and move forward without the shadows of the past. As Lucas packed his things, preparing for the journey ahead, he took a moment to reflect on the impact of his experiences. Every moment of doubt, every instance of belittlement, had taught him the power of inner resilience. He had grown not only as a professional but also as a person, embracing the values his parents had instilled in him: humility, integrity, and resilience. Lucas realized that his story was more than a tale of career advancement. It was a journey of self-discovery and transformation. The hardships he had faced had refined him, making him stronger and kinder. His experiences reminded him that true success wasn't measured by titles or accolades, but by one's ability to remain grounded and compassionate despite challenges. This final lesson became the foundation upon which he would build the next chapter of his life. The day of his departure arrived, and Lucas stood at the airport, ready to embark on his new journey. As he waited for his flight, he thought of all the people who had been part of his story: his family, friends, supportive colleagues, and even Karen. Each of them had shaped his journey, teaching him valuable lessons that had prepared him for this moment. As he boarded the plane, Lucas felt a calm determination. He knew the road ahead would be challenging, but he was no longer the uncertain young man who had once been overlooked and ridiculed. He was now a respected leader, carrying with him a legacy of kindness and resilience. With a final look at the city that had been both his battleground and his sanctuary, Lucas settled into his seat, ready for the future. The journey had only just begun, and he was prepared to face whatever lay ahead with an open heart and unwavering spirit.